With the release of the Attack on Titan Final Season Part 2, I decided let's go back and rewatch every single OVA in existence.
Shut up and sit down.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy Do The Views, and Attack on Titan the Final Season Part 2 is here to celebrate that release. Let's rank every OVA from the worst to the best, all 8 of them. This is just my opinions, so don't take it to heart, and there will be spoilers for the OVAs, so let's get started. Coming in at last place and at number 8, Lost Girls, Lost in the Cruel World. This episode takes place after the struggle of trust and after Mikasa finds out that Eren got eaten by a Titan and she's just in a dark place. And she starts to have an alternative vision where her parents are still alive. The episode has some nice visuals here and there, and I did like the blossoming relationship / romance between Eren and Mikasa in this sort of alternative reality. But to be honest, this episode felt very disjointed from the rest of the series. While I do like the foreshadowing that Mikasa makes about Eren in the beginning of the episode, I do have to admit that out of all the OVAs, this one definitely felt out of place. At number 7, we've got Lost Girls, Wall Sheena Goodbye Part 2. The second part of this Annie OVA story, and it is a bit better than the previous OVA, but once again I was not really a fan of the pacing. This episode felt extremely slow paced, and there were a lot of weird fillery moments, and characters that just showed up didn't really have any impact of the story. And that's the thing, this episode did feel more or less like a filler. It does establish the world a bit more, and it had some cool sequences like Annie inside the carriage with those 2 other men and her transform into the female Titan was pretty cool. And it also humanized Annie a little bit as well, as she and Carly had this little friendship going on towards the end. Number 6, and that is part 1 of this OVA. I liked it a little bit more because it's sort of establishing her mission, and this whole setup was really great and amazing. I loved her semi-nightmare of her assistant running to killing Marco, and it just humanizes Annie because she feels really disturbed by what she's done and what she's doing to these people on this island. Just like Vanna, she's also feeling conflict over her true mission and her relationship with her friends. I loved seeing more Hitch and Annie banter back and forth. They had more of like a big sis little sis sort of relationship. And is it me, or does that sketch of Carly look a lot like Peak? Again, just like part 2, this episode did feel very fillerish. It didn't really impact the story overall. Seeing what she's really thinking and feeling, because she comes across as this cold character. At number 5, we have got Distress. A very simple plot with a gang of thieves kidnapping Krista and a bunch of ODM gear, but I really do like the cadets' teamwork and how each and every one of them respond differently. I just prefer some of the comedic moments and just the banter back and forth, and I just like these characters so much more. Having familiar characters just do ordinary things is just really appealing to me, even though it does feel very fillery. At number 4, we've got The Sudden Visitor, The Torturous Curse of Youth. This episode was just fun throughout. It was just one big comedy episode. It had so many fun moments with Jean and Sasha just competing against one another. Raina and Sasha and Connie was just really funny in the woods, where Raina keeps doubting these guys, trying to find this boar. But then his reaction every time they find it or they prove him wrong is just really hilarious. But this is more or less a Jean-focused episode. I mean, the dude even replaces Eren in the opening theme, which is just bloody hilarious. How annoyed he is with his mom always sort of nagging him, and which is a lot like how Eren used to be when he was younger. But the best scene in the entire episode was when Pixis was trying out Sasha and John's dish, and he just had this trippy vision of all the scouts turning into Titans, and it was just beautiful, glorious, and the art and animation was just insane. Even though Eren isn't in this episode as much, he does have this really funny scene where he's struggling to lift one box and you got Mikasa lifting about 3 of them, and he's just absolutely ashamed that he can't lift it. At number 3, we've got Isol's Notebook, Memories of a Scout Regiment Member. Damn son, I was not expecting this episode to be as dark as it was with Isol and her encounters with this Titan. I really enjoyed the dynamic between Levi and Hanji, how Levi prioritized his time into helping and protecting his comrades, while Hanji's only thing on her head was just to get to know what this Titan was all about, and it really showed you more of their character and how Levi was so mad at her. The scene with Isul and that talking Titan was just so horrifying yet beautiful at the same time. The art and animation was just on point, and the foreshadowings to future seasons and events was pretty insane. And number 2, we have got No Regrets Part 1. This episode really establishes Levi and his relationship with his 2 friends. Not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised. I wasn't expecting Levi and Owen and the rest of the scouts to have this sort of tension between all of them. We're so used to seeing Levi and his buddy friendship with Owen and everyone else on the scouts, but back then it just wasn't like that. Even Mitchie treats Levi like scum, throwing his face to the dirt. But Owen acknowledges Levi's ODM gear skills, and he sees the future of the Survey Corps residing in Levi. And I just love how Owen always thinks 2-3 steps ahead of everybody else when everyone thinks he's a madman. I really do like Levi's relationship with Isabel and Furlan. I like how it's a common theme for Attack on Titan where you have like the trio. Some of those underground ODM gear sweeping shots looked gorgeous to look at as they were flying around, zipping up and down. I love to see when Levi is training Isabel to use the ODM gear scene. It's such a beautiful, majestic song, and they're all having fun and laughing about and goofing. And then the song ends with a feather falling into some mud, and then the notes sort of go off a bit as the song ends, and it kind of feels a bit ominous and sinister, foreshadowing to the future events. Yeah, I just flipping love the world building of the underground. My only gripe is that I kind of wish we saw Kenny appear, seeing how involved he was in the underground back in this time period. But coming in at number 1 is No Regrets Part 2. My gosh, talk about horrifying and just tragic. The death of Isabel and Farlan at the hands of that Titan was just, it really hurt, because when you see the scenes preceding this, you see Isabel and Farlan being so confident to join Levi, but Levi is so against it. But he wants to trust his comrades. That choice ended up getting them killed, and this all leads back into that time when Levi told Eren, you have 2 choices. You trust your comrades or your own strength. But either way, no one truly knows. And how angry and heartbroken Levi was, and the animation as he's just destroying that Titan was just probably one of the best sequences in the entire series so far. The music, story, animation, all the characters made this the best OVA out of all of them. And that's why No Regrets is my favorite OVA out of all of them. But tell me in the comments down below what you guys thought of this ranking list. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Which is your favorite OVA? Tell me in the comments down below. Like, subscribe for more anime and manga reactions and reviews, as well as future Attack on Titan comparison reviews and reactions. Thank you for watching. Boarded Review signing out.